Bruins Beat is brought to you by PrizePicks and the GameTime app.
And welcome into the Bruins Beat, presented by PrizePicks. Go use that promo code CLNS to get $50 back when you play just $5. And are presented by GameTime. Go use that promo code CLNS to get $20 off that first purchase. Terms apply. I am Evan Marinofsky. That is Conor Ryan. Connor, what is up?
Evan, I'm doing well. Sound like I'm doing better than you are.
Yeah, you are. I caught something. We talked on Poke the Bear on Tuesday or Wednesday, and I could feel something coming on, but I'm like, maybe it's, I golfed all day Sunday and it was cold out, and there was a dog over Saturday, and I'm kind of allergic to dogs. Like, maybe it's that, and it wasn't. It wasn't. Just got sick. It's that time of year, so that's the fun part. But had a good Thanksgiving. Good food, good family time, a lot of emergency, which love, How about you?
Doing its damnedest. It's like Osmosis Jones, just fighting the good fight right now.
It is. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good, low key. Went out to a restaurant. We had people kind of all over the place. It was a hectic kind of holiday, but it was good. I don't mind going out to a restaurant. Had a nice steak. I'm not a big turkey guy anyway, so
good for you for taking a real stand. I feel like I always say I don't love turkey, but I still eat it.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about that bird.
Big turkey, taking
it's ugly, makes a lot of annoying noises. It bothers people. It attacks people on the green line. Like it's not a good bird. No, I'm not celebrating that little shit bird.
No, and turkeys, by the way, are carried on Thanksgiving. Like stuffing, mashed potatoes, gravy, like
exactly.
You don't need, you can do gravy on chicken, but chicken stands alone.
Yeah.
And steak stands alone. If you put anything on steak, people get offended because steak is supposed to have a lot of flavor, and it usually does. But turkey, not much to it. I know people say, oh, that means you cook a bad turkey. And it's like, nah, man, I've had a lot of turkey from a lot of places. It's always not that great. It just doesn't taste.
It's always mid. Yeah.
Yeah, it is mid. It's not inedible, but it is mid. But anyway, I was back to the Bruins here. I was optimistic heading into the Black Friday game. I think a lot of people were. Wednesday night's game, Bruins trounced the Islanders 6-3. They hang with them all game, and then sort of turbocharged by them in the third. We have said all along they need a big goal game. They finally get it. Zacha gets 2, Pastrnak gets 3 assists. Like everybody seems to be chipping in. So going against Pittsburgh, I'm like, oh, this is it. Black Friday game. Big, on TNT, Coyle scores on Jari less than 2 minutes in. I'm like, oh boy, here these are the floodgates we talked about. Yeah, these are the floodgates we talked about on Wednesday. They are thrashing open, and they didn't score again, and they lost 2-1, and all the same problems reared their ugly heads. What do you take away from? It's tough because we never really talked about Wednesday's game because of where it came, but it's sort of what have you done for me lately? And what they did for us lately was lose 2-1 on Friday. So I think that's a little more relevant at this time, right?
Yeah, no, where have we seen this before, Evan, where the Bruins have 1 or 2 games would feel like things are turning in the right direction and then they take a major step back. And I think like when we spoke last, right, it was after that Vancouver game or was it before the Vancouver game?
No, it was after.
Okay.
It was Wednesday.
So after that game, they lose 2-0. And like, again, I think we were kind of mapping out as like, well, that sucks. That's really frustrating, but they're playing the right way. Like they play and, have a 74-35 edge in shot attempts and hold an 18-2 edge in high danger chances. Again, the floodgates are going to open at some point. You play that way, you're going to win most of your games. So I think we were kind of spinning a positive. And that builds into, Wednesday's win where they break through, get 6 goals, really control the third period. And then where does all that go on Friday against a really bad Pittsburgh team? Pittsburgh team that I think the only time they've allowed less than 2 goals was, I think it was like losses to like Montreal and the Ducks. I believe are the 2 teams that have done that. Not good. Not good if you're in that company in terms of ineptitude against scoring against Tristan Jarry. So, yeah, I think all across the board, it's just a step back because the defense, kind of like how it was for spurts during that Islanders game, way too loosey-goosey, way too many rush chances for Pittsburgh, way too much, them generating what they want to do, which a Mike Sullivan team wants to get up and going, and they did that way too much in that game. And then, the lack of finishing. But it wasn't even like previous games where the Bruins are putting everything on net and the the underlying numbers are lopsided towards the Bruins. And you're like, all right, like, shit, this finishing just finally breaks through. They're almost there. Like, that was just a flat bad game kind of across the board where the Bruins had all the momentum against a really, really bad Pittsburgh team and completely squandered it. And at this point of the year, and, you know, I think hopefully we've got past the point where in early November, late October, where guys like Marchand were saying like, well, it's still time. This is the time where you start banking points. Because, like, yes, like that win against the Islanders put you into third in the Atlantic, and you're lucky that like the rest of the division's kind of middling right now and not.
And they have games on everybody.
Yes, like you're lucky that you're even in third right now based on the way you've played and the fact that no other team's really taken off. But these are the games you look back on in March where if this team is trying to make a push, and all of a sudden Tampa Bay's got 2 games, you know, they've got six or 7 points ahead of you. You're looking back at a game like this being like, why did they show out so flat in that game? So, yeah, like as much as we've seen spurts of this team playing the right way, playing, I think, more to identity, which I think is what they've been doing under Sacco, you're still in the same spot you are where you're taking 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And it feels like this was another really frustrating step back for a team that desperately needs to get, you know, some traction here and get on a roll, especially at this point of the season.
Yeah. And it's tough because like you even look at, you know, the Penguins out high danger chance them like 13-7, I think at 5-on-5, 15-10 when you incorporate all situations. And that first period, the Bruins, you know, they were just trading rush chance. I mean, it was a entertaining.
It was actually entertaining, yeah.
And then the Penguins sort of took over in the second, and they took over for the first half of the third. But then again, like you even look at the second half of the third period for the Bruins, and I think it was Letang who stopped, was it Coyle on an open net? And then Carlson did something similar late in the game with, was it Geeky?
I believe so, yeah.
So like they have these chances that should go in and they don't. So they can't finish. They are getting a little unlucky at the moment. Jari made some huge saves on a couple chances. Lindholm had a chance in front that he kind of turned around and slapped at it, and Jari got a piece of it. But again, like we said this after the Vancouver game, if it's just one game and you can't finish, it's like, shucks, happens. But this continues to happen. And yeah, I mean, you know, Wednesday was great. 6 goals, you know, 5 goals that weren't an empty netter on the Islanders is terrific. That's awesome, you know, and you scored early, and Marchand had 2 and could have had a hat trick by the end of the third. But that's an outlier. Like that, we can safely say that has, for what we've seen, that game is an outlier. And the norm is what happened against Vancouver, what happened against Pittsburgh on Black Friday. And that's a scary thing. And, you know, the chances are there. You're not finishing them. And, you know, again, I think what's concerning about the game against Pittsburgh is you gave up a lot of chances too. And Swayman played well. We'll get into Swayman a little bit later because I still think he's not, sorry, he's still not quite up to 100%. And quite frankly, neither am I.
Yes.
But I just, it's the chances aren't there. And to me, the biggest thing is that power play, that big, stinking, terrible, no good, horrible, very bad power play just continues to haunt them. And it should have been the difference in a game like the game against the Penguins. Like that's where you cook. That's where you should cook. And it just doesn't do anything.
I mean, yeah. And like to your point of like, you can look at like Jari had a few good saves and you know, that's right. And you even look at that game against Vancouver where Kevin Lankinen's been like a machine on the road this year. He's like 8-0, 9-0 on the road. So like, listen, like there's that.
Just loves road,
but he loves it. He loves going to Union Oyster House. He was hyped up. He wished Dick's Last Resort was still there. Like he was going to do the whole thing, walk the Freedom Trail. But you can look at like this team getting goalied all the time. But it's kind of like, you know, what's that phrase? Like you go and meet everyone in life and everyone's an asshole. Maybe you're an asshole. Like if you keep on getting goalied, maybe it's your problem that you can't put the puck into the net. And as you said, that power play is just killing them right now. Where, I mean, if this power play was, we're not asking them to be a top 5 unit to be operating at 27% or something like that. But can you imagine like where this team would be if they had like 3 more power play goals on the year? Like they have like 2 or 3 more wins. It's killing them right now.
And I want to talk power play changes because I think that we're at a point where you need to make drastic changes to it. And I want to get into what those might be. But we talk about PPs, Connor. The only thing that's better than a good power play is Prize Picks, because it's Prize Picks time. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. I got to say, Connor, on Thanksgiving Day, when there were all those football games, I had Prize Picks wagers on each game. And I did pretty well. Especially in that night game, Dolphins-Packers. I did pretty well. I got to give myself a pat on the back there. When it comes to hockey, if you want to do Bruins, like you do what your heart tells you to do. Good luck. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today again and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Run your game. It's also just a fun app for any game. It's on TV. You're watching Canucks Predators on tonight. Open up Prize Picks. Power play. I think you need drastic changes. You need like all-time changes to it. And obviously you're not gonna, make a trade. Chris Kreider's not gonna come in and revitalize your whole power play, although it would help. I think it starts with the top. This sounds insane, but I try David Pastrnak as the quarterback. I do. I'm at that point. And I know people go, "Oh my God, that's insane." Every team is shutting down his one-timer. That one-timer
where it's coming. Yeah.
That one-timer is irrelevant at the moment. Put him at the top of the key. Put him up top and let him cook. Or you do everyone moving around and you have different people at the top consistently. I think that's one change you could make. You also could run things through the half wall. I remember this is a long time ago, but I think Claude used to have Ryan Spooner run it through the half wall. And it wasn't necessarily amazing. I'd much rather it run through the top, through the point. But you're at that point, man, where nothing's working and you got to just throw stuff against the wall and hope it sticks.
Yeah. I mean, it's like right now you keep on going to the one play, which is Pastrnak, the one-timer. And it's like if Mariano Rivera kept on throwing his cut fastball, which you all know that's what he's throwing, but it was hittable. And so you just keep on teeing off against it, because there was 2 or 3 times where the puck, it goes back between McAvoy, he hesitates, doesn't shoot, and then it goes right back to Pastrnak. And what do you know what's there when Pastrnak lets go of the shot? There's a guy sitting like a Kate Winslet in Titanic, ready to block the shot. There's 2 or 3 times where that's happened, where they know what's coming on that play. And there was, and then there was another one late too. I think it was the one right at the tail end, 5 minutes ago, where it was a really dumb penalty by Pittsburgh. Perfect opportunity for you to bury Pittsburgh, get back into the game, tie it up, at least get a point, try to draw something out of that game. And I don't think they even got a shot on goal there. It's way too predictable, way too much. It's going to happen. They're going to be, moving over to cover Pastrnak and take away that one-time shot. So we saw even in the first few games with Sacco, where they were generating a lot of shot volume on the power play. It's because they were more unpredictable. You had a lot more pucks going through the bumper. You had a lot more Martian getting involved at the net front. And those changes were, even if they weren't leading to goals, they haven't had a 2 for 3 showing on the power play, 2 for 4 showing, anything like that. Anything would be a step in the right direction. You had them, what was it, that game against Utah, they had 18 shots on goal on the power play. Granted, there was 7 penalties, but they were generating looks, and that was a step in the right direction. Now it's the same. Go back to what's working for you, but it's not working for you because everyone knows what's happening. So I agree. At this point, I think you have to move a guy like Pastrnak around. If he's not going to be capitalizing on that one-timer because the players are taking that away from him, move him around. You need to add more unpredictability to that group. If you move Pastrnak and the shots are coming from a different area, or it means that guys like Zaka or Lindholm or Marchand are getting more involved, and PK, penalty killers have to be more aware of those guys down low in high danger ice. I think you have to do something. You can't keep on rolling out the same group that has the talent when the results are just not there right now. Because again, where would this team be with just a few more of these power play goals right now? It's killing them when you look at how small the margin for error is for this team, especially just offensively.
I mean, again, like you could even we can get into X's and O's. You could move Pastrnak even to the bumper. The question is then who's at the one-timer spot, who's at the point. I would assume Zaka and Marchand are sort of either next to Pastrnak in the bumper along the half wall, and one of them is down low. And then, does Lindholm go to that one-timer spot? Does Lindholm go deeper? Does he go more towards the net front and you just completely eliminate a one-timer? Is McAvoy the guy at the point? I think there's a lot of things you can try. It's just not working. And their zone entries are terrible too. Like that's another area where they can't even get anything going. How many times do you see them dump it in on the power play? And it's that's when you're screwed. When you are throwing pucks in deep into corners and trying to win 50-50 pucks when you're on the power play. And so many of their zone entries just, even if they do get over the blue line, they stop right at the blue line and corner themselves and then have no play. So that to me is why you need to rethink it. And you also need to rethink your breakout too. Like it can't just be McAvoy comes up, drops it to Pastrnak, and Pastrnak bowls up ahead because teams have been shutting that down. They're getting in his way. Nothing's coming of it. You need to try something different. Is that Zaka bringing it up? Is it McAvoy just taking it? Is it low ride? Do you take McAvoy off it completely? Because again, right now, you can change the personnel all you want. If Pasternak's in that one-timer spot and Marchand and McAvoy's at the point, same stuff's going to happen. Because it ain't working. It just and we thought going into the year, I thought, Lindholm being in the bumper, that's gonna, probably is gonna be humming.
So much stuff, yeah.
And it hasn't at all. It has not at all. So I think there's, I think it's not so much the personnel, it's sort of the placement of the personnel that needs to just be completely overhauled. And, Sacco talked his introductory press conference of we can't change everything today. We're not going to try to, and I get that. That makes sense. You walk into something new, you're not going to be we're doing this. I get that. But power play should be number one of, all right, let's just completely rethink it. Let's just blow this whole thing up and start from scratch, because that is what
Mark Castlick in the bumper.
Yes,
there'll be a practice today.
Yeah, why not? That'd be great. We can get into sort of Swayman. We can get into sort of where this team is headed. But first, there's nothing like watching an NBA or an NHL game live. The energy in the building, the sounds on the ice or the court, the memories you make with family, friends, and other fans. It is unmatched. And the coolest part is when strangers sitting around you become your best friends or your enemies. You can make these memories with GameTime. GameTime has a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier, and it filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on the great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. When I use GameTime, I also love the flash deals, which help me get discounted prices on really good seats. Plus, who doesn't love seat views, which give a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy? Now, I must admit, Connor, I was watching that game on TNT on Friday night, and it sounded like a library in there, but that's TNT, right? Like the game, it actually sounded good in there.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I mean, as exciting as it could be. There, it was loud though when it needed to, but I did hear that the audio wasn't all that great. Also, it doesn't help that they broadcast about 7 minutes after the actual goal. I tweeted out the Coyle goal real time, and I got 4 replies thanks, jerk.
Yeah,
and I was all right, sorry guys. I'm sorry, TNT has it a year behind you guys.
It was very behind.
Didn't realize we had Tuck Everlasting here, and all of a sudden I was way back, but
it was behind. And my favorite part was with 28.5 seconds left, and the Bruins just batting away at the puck around the net. The app just crashed, the stream crashed. So I was perfect. And then of course I see the Bruins tweet 2-1 loss. But I'm sick of that. And you should be sick of that too. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime and skip past the app issues and just go to the game. So download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CLNS. For $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Connor, what time is it?
Game Time.
KOS. It's Game Time. That's what it is. We're Spanish speaking on this podcast. I hope I said that right. KOS. I think that's what time is it. So
I have to look at my AP Spanish. I feel like a fraud right now, but
I never took AP Spanish. I should have. I wish I did. Now I wish I did. I wish I had some more Spanish. I can speak a little bit, but not.
I had to do when I first got into BU, like we had like the orientation, like couple of days where we had to go on campus and sign up for classes, and like you had to stay overnight. I don't know if you did that at UMass, the middle of the summer in July. And one of the things you had to do was you had to sign up for like your first round of classes. And so like freshman and sophomore year, you had a certain amount of like core classes you had to do. So I had to do like a math class, which sucked. Like I had to do like a language class.
Same.
But you could have avoided getting into the language class if you showed enough proficiency in the language from like taking it in high school. I was like, oh yeah, I did like AP Spanish, and I did like the test, and like I clicked one button, and it's like, you have to take the class. I was like, oh Jesus! So I don't know what I forgot what I did, but I probably was so egregiously wrong.
All that Spanish.
I wrote like bonjour, and they were like, no, like, you're out. You're like,
goodbye.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember those days. I didn't take AP Spanish, but I took sophomore year of college. I took a Spanish class to solidify the requirement. It was beginner Spanish.
Nice.
And the professor was like, oh, that's interesting. You know all this stuff already. I was like, I don't know. I've watched it on TV a couple times, and she could look right through it that I was completely BSing. But speaking of Spanish, not really, but Jeremy Swayman. He's not Spanish at all, but had to segue it some way. People were getting pissed. People were getting pissed that we were not talking Bruins there. Like Spanish, college, no way. I don't want to hear this. Thanksgiving, sorry. It's just like the steering wheel. Swayman, I think it's interesting because he did have a good night against Pittsburgh, which he needed, but he still doesn't look 100% back there. There are still pucks he's not tracking well. I think it was that first goal he was on his stomach for.
Yeah.
Like, there's that second goal he's fighting with
Drew O'Connor, right?
Drew O'Connor, yep, by the side of the net. It was like Tim Thomas in the 2010 Winter Classic when he's like punching Scotty Hartnell and the puck goes through his legs. Not quite this.
Kind of reminds you of Jordan Bennington a little bit, which you don't want to be compared to that guy, losing your cool and chasing the play instead of stopping the puck. But
it's funny because Jeremy Swayman is so chill in these commercial breaks, and he looks so chill back there. But then, like the minute someone comes near him, he turns into like Cinderella Man. And it's like I just watched that movie actually, phenomenal.
Good movie.
But it's like and then you add on to the fact that he just doesn't look himself back there, and even big saves that he's making. He's making some, but they're not as smooth. Rebound control isn't amazing. I think there was a shot last night that went right into his glove and came right back out. There's these little things that I know, like I was talking to Pete Blackburn last week, and he's like, you need to let him play through this. And you need to, that's how he's going to get acclimated to the net. And it's like, sure, but you're also fighting for a playoff spot. Like if he's not going to be your best chance to win, and he wasn't why you lost to Pittsburgh, but he hasn't been the reason you've really won anything either. And so I think that's the tough part where like when we're basically in December, when is that Jeremy Swayman we saw last year going to appear? Because he does not look as technically sound as he was in previous seasons.
Yeah, no, not yet. And again, I think he's getting better. He's not getting smoked like he was during like the tail end of Montgomery's tenure here. So like, again, 2 goals should be enough to win you most games, but that's also an indictment on like the state of the team where you need both your goalies, both Swayman and Korpisalo, whose expectations have now been raised based on how he's played so far, that these guys have to be nearly perfect to keep you in these games, which isn't fair. But if you're in Swayman's case and you're the franchise guy, you have to be at that standard right now. And again, that's a little you don't have a lot of room for error there at all, which isn't necessarily fair, but until the guys start scoring in front of you and giving you some breathing room, that's kind of where you have to be, which is just about flawless. So, I agree. Like he's getting better, I think, from where he was early on in the year. It's not like these games are completely getting away from him, but, like that game in Dallas down there where it's like, 3 goals and what was it, like 4 minutes in the second period there. Like the things aren't getting away from you like that. But, again, when you're the franchise guy, got the new contract in hand, again, kind of the same as like the Bruins are just waiting for like the 2-goal, 2-assist Pasternak game. Like they desperately need that. You need like a timely shutout at some point from Swayman here, which again, it's not like, hey, just get a shutout. Easy. But when you look at where the team is going right now, you desperately need, like, again, Swayman is now one of your guys, like with Pasternak, with McAvoy. Like, you need a takeover game from him at some point here and get him on a roll, because otherwise, like, if you're just hoping for the Bruins start scoring in bunches, I think we had that optimism going into Friday. And where did that get you? You felt really good about where they were after that Islanders game. You're going to score a lot of goals against, knowing them, they would probably score like a goal against Skinner and the Oilers the way they're playing as well. But
yes,
but that was a game where it felt like momentum was in their favor. And it shows you right now, like, I think you're operating on a game by game basis in terms of what you're projecting for this team's scoring capabilities. And until that, you start seeing a trend, you start seeing some consistency in terms of guys pulling on the rope offensively. It's going to have to fall on your goalies and your defense to really kind of keep you in these games. And I think as a whole, they have, since Sacco has taken over. It's been a lot of low scoring games.
Yep.
But you have to be almost perfect right now, because right now the offense just isn't clicking at all.
It isn't. And again, Swayman makes 34 saves against Pittsburgh Friday night. And I do wonder, like, if the Bruins did 1-3-2 and Swayman, carries them to a win at OT or something, like maybe that we're looking, Swayman did so well. But I still look at a lot of those saves that he made and the 2 goals that went in, and I'm like, not quite there. He's close, but not quite. Offense much further than just close. And the power play is far, far away. Connor, what can the people look forward to from you over at the Globe and Boston.com?
Yeah, well, I've covered every step of the way, including the Bruins Centennial celebration on Sunday. The vibes aren't exactly sky high going into the game, but
no,
I know that they've been, the staff and the people that do the game events presentation have been working really hard going to Sunday's game. Job. So it really should be a great spectacle for anyone there, anyone watching on TV. It's going to be like an hour-long ceremony, so tune in for that. I know they've got a lot of videos and other things planned that I think will be really, really interesting to watch throughout that game. Hopefully they end it with a win against Montreal, but whether it's coverage of that or any game the rest of this year, you can read all my stuff over at Boston.com and the Boston Globe. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at Conor Ryan _93.
Go do all that. Have fun on Sunday. I will not be there. I will be recovering from my
Please have more emergency, some orange juice.
Yes. Yeah. If you see me at the Centennial celebration, walk away. Get away. I will not be there. But anyway, Connor, thank you for joining. That's Conor Ryan. I'm Evan Marinofsky. Bruins Beat listeners, have a great rest of your week.